Today's video is sponsored by the letters W, T, and F. Hello everyone, welcome to another entry in the Disability Diaries, a disability vlog that explores the world of disabilities, for disability issues, disability rights, what's good in the world of disabilities, what's bad in the world of disabilities, disability advocacy, and so much more. My name is Hope and I'm an individual with mild autism. And today I didn't think I'd be back talking about Sesame Street, but here we are. So today, the season 54 trailer for Sesame Street dropped, and I will link that video in the description below as well as in the comments if you want to check that out. But upon first glance, I couldn't see Juliet again. So I went and I checked other, sources like YouTube. And she wasn't even completely in the trailer. So they did show some highlights of season 54, but no sign of Julia. As I explained in one of my last videos, I explained that Julia is barely ever in any of the episodes. She is barely in the show. She only appears in 2 to 4 episodes a season. And my worst fear of Sesame Street is coming true. So I now feel as if Sesame Street is now lacking autism representation. They are not doing enough for the autism community. They are not doing enough to help individuals on the autism spectrum. They are not doing enough to help individuals with autism or even represent them, especially when their character is shown only 2 to 4 times a season. And other characters like Tamir only appear at least 16 episodes a season. 16! That's how many episodes Tamir appeared in last season. And that's not really fair to characters like Julia. And the opening sequence was updated to include, more characters. But Julia wasn't even seen in that either. Which, it does make me feel very, very, very angry about their autism representation, about how Julia is barely in the show, and this is especially showing now because she was barely in this last season as well as this season. There are no episodes with her in them, and I'm fearing that Sesame Street, Sesame Workshop thinks that autism is old news, and I'm afraid that is the case. I'm afraid that is literally the case with Sesame Street right now. They would rather talk about more about race issues, which is fine. I won't have an issue with it. But disability rights, disability issues, disability characters like Julia are important to diversity as well. You don't just create a character, have her around for a few years, and then retire her at the second you don't even need her anymore. You don't retire a character, and especially, if she is an autistic character or he is an autistic character. A lot of people say Sheldon Cooper is autistic, and would they drop him in the Big Bang Theory? Of course not. The man has his own spin-off. So why is Sesame Workshop not using Julia as much? Why are they not putting her in the trailer, not featuring clips of her in these new episodes of the show? And it makes me very angry as an individual on the autism spectrum. It makes me angry to see that Julia is barely even in this show anymore. She is barely even referenced, even mentioned in autism resources for families of autistic individuals. It makes me so angry because I'm an autistic individual. I did not grow up with Julia. I grew up without any Muppet representation for myself. There were others who grew up with plenty of Muppet representation. They grew up with all the representation that they had. I just had Temple Grandin. And, I just had Albert Einstein and Temple Grandin. That's it. No Muppet representation for me. No representation for somebody like me or others like me. Just those two. Now we're in 2023. And now it's like, you know, it is, I can't find the word for it, but essentially it is something that makes my blood boil. That makes me feel as if Sesame Street no longer cares for their autistic audience. They no longer care for their audience on the autism spectrum. They would rather put more new characters who aren't autistic. They would rather go from one topic to the next. And it's important to touch on some of those issues. I do agree with that. But I do think that it is not okay for them just to not include Julia, especially in promotional material, especially in the theme song, especially in things like this. I mean, yes, I do have a problem with Julia's autism representation. I do have an issue with it because it doesn't represent autistic people accurately. It does not support the fact that there is a spectrum, and it does not support the fact that there are, kids who are different kinds of autism. And they only show one kind of autism, and it makes me super angry that they're choosing to represent that one type, that one kind. It also makes me super angry that they choose not to promote Julia in any promotional material. It does not make me any sense of the word excited to see that, Julia is barely going to be in the show again. And I encourage you all to write the Sesame Workshop. I encourage you all to write to Sesame Street and tell them how you feel. Write to their social media. Send them send whoever is in charge an email. Send whoever is in charge an email about how you feel. And tell them that this is not right. I am especially going to write them an email. I am especially going to be writing an email to whoever is in charge at Sesame Workshop in the coming days and telling them, you really need to redo your trailer, redo the entire intro ending shot, because if Julia's not in it, what's the point? What's the point of your autism representation if Julia is not included? What is the point of autism inclusion if you cannot include an autistic character? If you cannot include somebody on the autism spectrum in your children's show, then this is a show we're talking about with lots and lots and lots and lots of merchandise, and the proceeds from that merchandise go towards projects such as international co-productions, which I adore, autism, and other, projects that they do, and yet it feels like they no longer care about individuals on the spectrum. They no longer care about individuals who are autistic, who are on the spectrum, who are different from other children. It's like they don't care. The only different they care about is race. They only care about skin color. They only care about all of this. They only care about a certain type of representation. They only care about that. They no longer care about autism representation. If they did, it is extremely inaccurate. And unfortunately, Julia is barely in any of the episodes. She's barely in the show as it is. And again, it does make me super angry that she is barely in any episodes whatsoever. She's barely in any episodes. She's barely in any of the show and has been since she debuted nearly 10 years ago in 2017 on the show. So I hope somebody, a Sesame Street fan, somebody from Sesame Workshop, I hope they hear my message. I hope that they hear that I am an individual with autism and I am angry because you have chosen not to include autism representation on your program. And that makes me, as an individual with autism, angry, frustrated, upset, the big feelings you talk about on your show. But yet, when it comes to autistic individuals, you would rather push them to the side. And especially somebody like Julia who was created for autistic children. And, in on the long run, it makes me angry. And it feels like they're not bringing her back next season. And please don't jump to the wrong conclusion when I say that they're not bringing her back this season. I say that because she's barely in the trailer, but she could be in this season, but as usual, barely in the show, but to the 4 episodes. So the new season of Sesame Street comes out on November 9th. That's next month. And essentially, I will be watching for Julia, and I hope that my voice sparks some change. But I want to ask you guys something. Have you watched the trailer for season 54 yet? And again, it is in the description, it is in the comments, and you can watch it in the description. If if you can if you have watched it, what are your thoughts? Do you think that Julia should have been included more in the trailer? Do you think that Julia should be included more on the show? What are your thoughts? And do you think that 2 to 4 episodes is enough? Please let me know in the comment section below. Also, I am on Instagram. You can send me messages there. I am going to be trying to post more soon when it comes to disability related videos and reels. So you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is thedisabilitydiaries@gmail.com. Oh no, sorry, that was my email. I got it in reverse. Okay. Scratch that. So you can find me on Instagram at The Disability Diaries. That's the with 2 E's, The Disability Diaries. And as I just mentioned, a little while ago, my email is thedisabilitydiaries@gmail.com. That's the with 2 E's, disabilitydiaries@gmail.com. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below via email or through my Instagram. Please let me know what your thoughts are, and I will see you again soon. Hopefully with a more positive update about all this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye!